Iron my clothes and fix me something to eat, she said. She was standing in the middle of my kitchen, in my house, wearing my silk robe that she had taken from my closet without asking. I had been awake since 5 in the morning, already dressed for work, already running 15 minutes late, already holding a travel mug of coffee I hadn't even taken a sip of yet. And Marcus's niece, 20-year-old Destiny, who had been sleeping in my guest room for exactly 3 weeks and 4 days without paying a single dollar toward the roof above her head, was standing there, pointing at a pile of her laundry on the floor like I was her personal house staff. I set my travel mug down on the granite counter very slowly. Marcus stepped out of the hallway at exactly that moment, and the look on his face told me everything I needed to know about how long this had been coming. What happened next changed everything, and I mean everything. But to understand why I did what I did, you need to understand how we got there. My name is Nadia. I am 41 years old. I am a licensed civil engineer at a mid-size infrastructure firm in Houston, Texas, and I have spent the better part of the last decade designing bridges that hold up under pressure. The irony of that is not lost on me now. I own a 4-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood in Katy, a suburb west of Houston, where the streets are wide and the neighbors wave at each other from driveways. I bought this house 6 years ago, before I married Marcus, with a down payment I saved over 4 years of disciplined, strategic, sometimes painfully boring financial planning. I refinanced it twice. I know what every pipe in the walls connects to. I know where the electrical panel is and what every breaker does. This house is mine, in the way that very few things in life are truly yours. I earned it corner by corner. Marcus came into my life 3 years after I bought it. We met at a mutual friend's crawfish boil in the backyard of a house in Pearland. He was tall, soft-spoken, and had the kind of easy laugh that made a room feel warmer just by being in it. He was a high school football coach at a public school in Humble, not a man chasing money, but a man with quiet integrity, or so I believed. We dated for 2 years. We got married in a small ceremony on a Saturday in October at the Botanical Garden downtown, with 43 people watching. That was 18 months ago. For the first year of our marriage, things were genuinely good. Marcus was present, warm, and communicative. He didn't bring drama. His family, a mother in San Antonio and a younger sister named Keisha in Beaumont, were distant but pleasant at the few holiday gatherings we attended. Keisha's daughter, Destiny, showed up at Thanksgiving once and spent the whole meal on her phone. I barely registered her existence. That was then. The first hint of trouble arrived on a Tuesday evening in late February. I had just gotten home from a long day of site reviews. My feet were aching, my back was stiff, and I had a project deadline in 4 days that was making my left eye twitch every time I thought about it. Marcus had made dinner, grilled chicken and rice, nothing fancy, but the effort was sweet. We were cleaning up the kitchen together when he cleared his throat in that specific way he does when he's about to say something he knows I won't like. "So," he started, handing me a wet dish. "Keisha called today." I said nothing. I kept drying. Destiny is having a rough semester. She's on academic probation at Lamar. Her financial aid got flagged, and her apartment lease is up at the end of the month. I placed the dry dish in the cabinet and turned to face him. And Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. "She needs somewhere to stay. Just temporarily, while she gets things sorted." I looked at my husband for a long moment. Temporarily meaning what? Maybe 2 months? 3 at the most? "Marcus." I leaned against the counter. "We have 4 bedrooms, yes, but one is my home office, one is our bedroom, and one is your film room. She can stay in the guest room," he said quickly. "She'll barely be home. She's taking online classes during the day, and she works a few evenings at a nail salon." I asked the most obvious question. Why can't she stay with Keisha? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Keisha's boyfriend just moved in. The apartment is a 1-bedroom. It's not really possible." Something about the way he said "not really possible" made me pause. It wasn't impossible. It was not really possible. That was a door left deliberately cracked open. "And what does Destiny want to do about tuition?" I pressed. "About the financial aid hold?" "She's working on it. It's complicated." How much does she contribute toward staying here? Marcus hesitated, just a half second too long. Well, she's dealing with a lot right now financially. So nothing, I said. Nadia, I'm not angry, I said carefully, which was true. I wasn't angry yet. I was just mapping the terrain. I just want to be clear about what you're asking. You want your niece to live here rent-free for up to 3 months, while she sorts out academic probation, a financial aid issue, and presumably other things neither of us fully knows about. She's family, Marcus said. The 2 words landed like a gavel. I took a breath. When does she need to be here? Her lease ends Saturday. It was Tuesday. I said yes. I said yes because I loved my husband, and I believe in helping family when you genuinely can. I said yes because 4 bedrooms felt like excess guilt when a young woman needed shelter. I said yes because I thought it would be 2 months and then done. I was wrong about almost everything. She showed up Saturday afternoon in an Uber with 3 suitcases, a ring light, a Bluetooth speaker, and the attitude of someone who had just checked into a hotel she'd been looking forward to visiting. I opened the door. She barely looked at me. "Hey, Auntie Nadia," she said breezily, rolling past me with the largest suitcase. "Marcus said the guest room is the one at the end of the hall, right?" "That's right," I said. "Welcome." "Thanks," she said, already halfway down the hallway. "Is there food? I'm starving. The Uber took forever." Marcus was grinning ear to ear behind me, already reaching for her other bags. "Destiny, you look good, girl. Come on in." Nadia made gumbo. I had, in fact, made gumbo. I had gotten up that morning, gone to the store, and spent 2 hours cooking because I wanted to start things off on the right foot. Destiny ate 2 bowls, said it was decent, and retreated to her room. Marcus looked at me with shining eyes. "She's a great kid. You'll see." I smiled and said nothing. Over the next 48 hours, I gave Destiny the benefit of the doubt. She was young, in a stressful situation, adjusting to a new environment. I set a few ground rules quietly with Marcus. Keep the shared spaces clean, help with dishes, no guests without checking with us first. Marcus nodded along and said he'd relay everything. He never did. By the end of the first week, the pattern had established itself with terrifying efficiency. Destiny woke up between 10 and noon. She spent her mornings doing what she described as content creation, filming videos for her social media pages, which had a modest but real following. She was, I'll admit, creative, but creative in a way that consumed the shared living room. The ring light was permanently set up in the corner. The coffee table was relocated to charge her equipment. The couch, my couch, was reorganized to serve as her filming backdrop. She ate constantly, freely, and without asking. My grocery runs, which I had budgeted carefully for 2 adults, were now feeding a 3rd person with an appetite that seemed inversely proportional to her contribution to the household. By the end of week 2, there were new developments. Her friends started appearing, 2, 3 at a time, materializing in my living room in the early evenings, eating chips, playing music, and disappearing close to midnight, leaving behind a debris field of cups, plates, and cushions knocked off the sofa. I had a direct conversation with Marcus. The friends need to stop, or at minimum, we need a rule about it. "She's young," he said. "She needs her people around her. She's going through a hard time." "We're all going through things, Marcus. I have a project deadline in 10 days. I need the house to be functional." "I'll talk to her," he promised. The friends kept coming. Then came the bathroom situation. We have 2.5 bathrooms in the house. The master is attached to our bedroom. The hall bath, which Destiny used, became a construction zone of product. 47 individual bottles at my last count. She spent 40 to 50 minutes in there every morning, which would have been tolerable if she hadn't also started using the master bath on the mornings she woke up early. I found my Tatcha moisturizer, a product I carefully rationed because it was $68 for a small jar, more than half empty after 10 days of Destiny being in the house. I knew I hadn't used it that quickly. I mentioned it to Marcus. "Nadia, it's just lotion." "It's $68, Marcus. The point isn't the lotion. The point is she used my things without asking." "I'll say something." He said something. She apologized sweetly and then used my serum 2 days later. I want to be clear about something. I am not a materialistic woman by nature. I drive a 4-year-old Accord. I buy my work boots at the same place I've been buying them for 12 years. I don't need luxury to feel validated. But there is something specifically maddening about watching someone casually consume what you have worked hard to afford, without a flicker of acknowledgement, while paying nothing toward the environment that sustains them. That slow erosion of respect, that was what was happening, drip by drip, day by day. The moment I understood the full picture arrived the way revelations often do, accidentally, on a Wednesday, when I came home an hour earlier than expected because a client meeting was canceled. I parked in the garage and came in through the side door quietly. Marcus was in the kitchen, on the phone, laughing in the loose, relaxed way he only laughs with family. His back was to me. "No, Keisha. Seriously, she's fine with it." A pause. I mean, she had her little moment at the beginning about the grocery thing, but you know Nadia. She's practical, she comes around. Another pause, then a low chuckle. "Honestly, this is working out better than I thought. Destiny helps around here, and Nadia's at work all day, so nobody's really in each other's way." I stood completely still in the doorway. Destiny helps around here. I ran a silent inventory in my head. In 3 weeks, Destiny had cooked exactly 0 meals for the household. She had vacuumed 0 times. She had bought 0 groceries. The only things she cleaned were her own dishes, and only when they had piled up to a point that was impossible to ignore. Marcus believed this, because Marcus was almost never home to see it. He coached school until 4, then stayed for practice until 6, then often went straight to his brother-in-law's place in Cyprus to watch games. He was living in a version of reality that Destiny had carefully curated for him. I walked back out the side door. I sat in my car for 11 minutes. And I decided I was going to stop being patient. That evening, I sat both of them down at the kitchen table. No yelling, no drama. Just a clear conversation, the way I run project meetings. "I want to establish some ground rules for the house," I said. "Not because there's a problem yet, but to make sure we're all on the same page before there is one." I laid out 5 things: grocery contributions, $15 a week into a shared household fund, cleaning responsibilities, each person owns their shared messes. Friends, weeknight visits end by 9. Shared spaces, the living room returns to its original layout by end of day. Personal items, you ask before you use anything that isn't yours. Destiny sat across from me with the expression of someone being told to pay for water. "That seems like a lot of rules for family," she said. "These are house rules," I said evenly. "Not family rules. Anyone living in this house follows them. I mean, I don't really have $15 a week right now. My tips at the salon have been slow. Then help with meals once a week. That's the equivalent." She looked at Marcus. He gave a small, almost imperceptible shrug, the shrug of a man who didn't want to pick a side, but had already picked one. "I'll try," Destiny said, in the tone of someone agreeing to something they have no intention of following through on. She was right on schedule. The next 10 days were a masterclass in strategic noncompliance. Destiny didn't break the rules loudly. She dissolved them quietly. The $15 never materialized. There was always a reason. The living room ring light moved back within 36 hours. Her friends started arriving at 9:30, technically after the cutoff but functionally the same problem. And then, the week of the incident, things accelerated. Monday, I opened the refrigerator to find that the meal-prepped lunches I had made for my entire work week, 5 containers of salmon and roasted vegetables that I had spent Sunday afternoon preparing, were gone. Destiny had apparently hosted a late-night snack session with 2 friends, and what was 4 days of my lunches had become a midnight spread. I said nothing. I packed a granola bar and drove to work. Tuesday, I came home to find Destiny in my home office, sitting at my desk, using my desktop monitor as a second screen for her laptop because, as she explained when I appeared in the doorway, "The colors look better on your monitor for editing." I asked her to leave the office and not to enter it without my permission. She left. She told Marcus I had screamed at her. I had not raised my voice. Wednesday. My silk robe, the deep burgundy one I bought myself for my 40th birthday, was hanging on the back of the guest room door. Thursday. I came home to music I could hear from the driveway. By Friday morning, I had been sleeping badly for a week. I had eaten granola bars for lunch 4 days in a row. My home office had been violated. My robe was gone. My patience had a structural crack running straight through the middle of it. I woke up at 5:45 on Friday morning. I had an early site inspection, one of the most important reviews of the quarter. I needed to be out of the house by 6:30, sharp, professional, and mentally present. I walked into the kitchen and stopped. Destiny was already awake, which was unusual enough to register. She was sitting at the kitchen island in my silk robe, her hair wrapped up, scrolling her phone with one hand, and eating from a bowl of the expensive steel-cut oats I specifically bought for myself with the other. And stacked on the floor next to the island was a pile of her laundry, jeans, tops, and other items I will not describe in detail. She looked up at me with a calm, almost bored expression. "Oh, good. You're up early," she said. "Can you throw my stuff in the wash before you leave? And make something for breakfast. I have a shoot today, and I need to eat before I get ready." The kitchen went silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator. I looked at the laundry on my floor. I looked at the girl in my robe eating my oats. I looked at the clock. 6:03. "I'm sorry?" I said. She gestured vaguely at the pile. "My laundry. And food. I'm thinking eggs, or even just toast is fine." What happened next, I will not pretend was graceful. It was not graceful, but it was honest. I walked to the laundry pile. I picked up the top item, a pair of her jeans. I walked to the hallway closet, opened it, and dropped the jeans on the floor inside it. I did the same with every single item in that pile, one by one, until the kitchen floor was clear and the closet had a new problem. Then I turned around. "There's a laundromat 4 minutes away," I said. "I can text you the address. Breakfast, you are welcome to make for yourself. The kitchen is available. The oats you are currently eating would have been a good start." Destiny stared at me. "Are you serious right now?" "Completely." She got up off the bar stool, and for a moment, I genuinely didn't know what she was going to do. She was taller than me by 3 inches and had the energy of someone who had never once been told a firm no by anyone in a position of authority. She reached into the closet, grabbed the top item from the pile, and threw it at me. It hit my shoulder, not hard, but deliberately, and something I had been holding for 4 weeks released. I picked the item up off the floor. I walked to the front door. I opened it. I placed it in the hallway outside the door. Then I came back, picked up another item, walked to the door, placed it outside. And another. And another. Calm, methodical, and completely silent, I moved every single piece of Destiny's laundry into the public hallway of my house. By the time I placed the last item down and came back inside, Destiny was standing in the entryway with her mouth open. I closed the front door and looked at her. "You have 2 choices," I said quietly. "You go collect your things from the hallway, put them in bags, take them to the laundromat, and we have a real conversation today about how the next 2 months are going to work. Or I call Marcus right now and tell him to come home, because this arrangement is over effective immediately. You can't just—" "I can," I said. "This is my house, Destiny. My name is on the deed. My mortgage payment cleared 4 days ago. I am not your employee, I am not your cook, and I am not your laundry service. You are a guest in my home, and guests behave accordingly." She said nothing. "My robe," I added. "Please take it off and leave it on the counter before you leave this kitchen." Marcus came home at 4. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of chamomile tea and a project folder open in front of me, though I hadn't looked at it in an hour. He walked in, read the atmosphere immediately, and set his bag down carefully. "What happened?" I told him. Calmly, chronologically, and completely. The laundry demand, the robe, the thrown item, the hallway, all of it. Marcus was quiet for a long time. He sat across from me. He rubbed his jaw. "She threw something at you," he said finally. "Yes." He was quiet again. "Where is she now?" In her room. She collected her laundry. She hasn't come out. Marcus stood up slowly and walked down the hallway. I heard him knock on the guest room door. I heard the low murmur of conversation. I didn't try to listen. Whatever was said in there was between them. He came back 20 minutes later. He sat down again. "She says she doesn't know what came over her," he said. "She's embarrassed." "That's a start," I said. He looked at me with eyes that were carrying something heavy. "I owe you an apology, Nadia." I waited. "I've been handling this wrong. I told Keisha it was fine when you were telling me it wasn't fine. I brushed off what you were saying because I wanted to believe everything was okay. That wasn't fair to you." In 22 months of marriage, Marcus had apologized before. But not like this, not with this quality of stillness. "I heard you on the phone with Keisha," I said, "a few weeks ago, when you said I had my little moment about groceries." He closed his eyes briefly. "Nadia, I'm not saying that to punish you. I'm saying it because that's when I understood that this wasn't going to fix itself. You were managing me the same way you manage your players when there's a problem you don't want to address directly." He didn't deny it. "I need you to choose," I said. "Not between me and Destiny. I'm not asking you to cut off your niece. I'm asking you to choose what kind of husband you want to be. Because right now, I feel alone in this house I built, and that's a problem." That evening, all three of us sat at the dining table. Marcus led it, which was the thing I needed most. Not me setting the rules alone, but us presenting a united front. He told Destiny she had 2 weeks to find alternative arrangements, and that those 2 weeks were conditional on her treating me with basic respect. He told her that what she had done that morning, throwing something at his wife in her own home, was something he could not overlook, and that Keisha would be hearing about it from him directly. Destiny cried. Real tears, I think, though I'd become somewhat agnostic about her emotional performances. But then she said something unexpected. "I know I've been bad here," she said quietly, looking at the table. "I don't know why I act like this. At home with my mom, it's the same thing. She just lets me." She paused. "You don't let me. And I think I was angry about that instead of being grateful." The room was very quiet. I looked at this 20-year-old girl and saw, maybe for the first time, past the entitlement to the thing underneath it. A kid who had never been handed a real boundary and didn't know how to exist inside one. I didn't soften, but I shifted. 2 weeks, I said. Use them well. And for what it's worth, the content you make is actually good. You have an eye for it. That's worth developing seriously. She looked up at me. You watched my stuff? I looked at it once. Yes. She didn't say anything, but something in her face changed. Destiny left on a Thursday, 14 days after the kitchen confrontation. She had found a room in a shared house near the Lamar campus in Beaumont. 2 other girls her age, a structured lease, her own space. Keisha had helped her with the deposit. Marcus had contributed some. Destiny had worked extra shifts at the nail salon for 2 weeks straight to cover the rest. She texted me the day she left. It said, "Thanks for not just letting me be terrible. Sorry I was such a nightmare. For real." I stared at the text for a while before responding. Then I wrote back, "Good luck with the content. I meant what I said." Marcus and I spent that weekend doing something we hadn't done in 2 months. Nothing. We ordered tacos and watched a movie we'd been meaning to see. We didn't talk about Destiny or Keisha or any of it. We just existed in our house, which felt like ours again. On Sunday morning, I made breakfast. Marcus washed the dishes without being asked. It was quiet and warm and exactly enough. That night, lying in bed with the ceiling fan turning slow above us, Marcus said, "I won't do that again. Bring someone in without really asking you, without making sure you're protected in your own home." "I know," I said, and I meant it. I didn't need a grand declaration or a month of apologies. I needed the action. The 2 weeks of him standing beside me, backing the boundary, being my partner instead of his family's ambassador. That was what I got, and it was enough to rebuild on. Here is what I know now that I didn't fully know before. A house is just wood and drywall, and a mortgage until someone decides it's a home. A home is made by the people inside it choosing, every single day, to respect what it took to build it. I built mine carefully. I protect it the same way. And the right man, even when he gets it wrong, is the one who eventually looks at what he almost let happen and decides to do better. Destiny is back in Beaumont. Her social media page has 7,000 more followers than it did when she left. I know this because she tagged me in a post last week. The caption said, "Big thanks to the auntie who didn't play. Sometimes you need that." I smiled at my phone screen for longer than I expected. Some lessons are delivered gently, some are delivered through your laundry ending up in a hallway. Either way, the lesson lands.